Tailored Tuition is the new affordability initiative at the Ellis School. At the center are 3 tenets. It's designed to be centered around partnership and transparency and sustainability. And those are the 3 things we really want to emphasize as we work through the process together. In a financial aid model, it can be really hard to know what your outcome is going to be. You sort of toil in this black box, you fall in love with a school, you wait, you hope, and at the end, maybe you get the outcome you were expecting, maybe you don't, but you're not really sure until it's all said and done. Tailored Tuition aims to make that process more upfront, more transparent, so you have additional information to inform your decision-making as you go. We hope that you will check out our Tailored Tuition website for additional information, including some really critical points for your family. There, you will find rates of top tuition for each grade level at Ellis, and you'll also find a range of tailored tuition that shows you exactly what Ellis families actually pay when they receive a tailored tuition adjustment. You can pop over to the site and review that at any time. And today we'll be talking a little bit about what goes into those ranges, those calculations, and each outcome for each family. Top tuition at each grade level is the very top tuition that any family might pay. The ranges that you view right next to those are those from families who've received an adjustment of tailored tuition. Remember, the goal is for each family to have a rate of tuition that is sustainable for them, that takes into account the wide range of variables that impacts their family's budget and bottom line. Together, we figure out exactly where tuition fits among a family's top priorities, and we go from there. Thank you so much for taking this step to prepare for tailored tuition. We're really excited to partner with you, and we can't wait to get started. One of the things we want to make sure that we do is get on the same page about the language that is used in the application for tailored tuition. So, like any good form or set of paperwork, it comes with its own set of acronyms, and we want to be sure that we're speaking the same language as we move through the process. So, Tailored Tuition, often abbreviated TT, is again Ellis's affordability initiative. You may see the terms financial aid or scholarships and grants used interchangeably as you do your research about this process. At Ellis, a tailored tuition adjustment is made to the top tuition to ensure that each family's tuition is exactly the right fit for them. Some of these awards will be underwritten by endowed scholarships from the school. These do not need to be repaid. They are given in partnership by the school to the family to ensure that tailored tuition is the right fit. In addition, throughout the process, you will be asked to complete some additional steps. These include the Parent Financial Statement, or PFS. For anyone who's done TurboTax before, this will feel like a super familiar form, and that is hosted by School and Student Services, or SSS. Those are sort of the core pieces that you'll work through in order to get the outcomes that we're seeking, which again is that sense of what the tuition should be for your family. At the end of the process, we will calculate your estimated family contribution, or EFC. And the EFC is one of 3 important parts of the application that we take into account to determine your tailored tuition. The estimated family contribution is put in the context of your parent offer. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but in essence, it is your sense of what your tuition should be. You communicate that to the school, and it's one of the primary pieces of information that we take into account when we're thinking about your family's tailored tuition. And last but not least, we also take into account all of the additional narrative context that you provide in the application. So there are quantitative considerations, there are qualitative considerations, and in the end, it's a holistic process to decide what the rate of tuition should be for your family moving forward. The process to apply is pretty straightforward. You can always reference our website where there's a set of tips and tricks as well as a checklist to get you going. The application window runs from November 1st through January 1st. We also consider applications received after January 1st, provided that space and resources are available. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us directly or refer to the website. You will apply for tailored tuition through the School and Student Services Family Portal. You'll create a login, you'll start an application, and you'll be sure to submit all of the parts of that application. And that will include your parent financial statement, the submission and fee, as well as your supporting documents. You want to be sure that you're uploading your previous year tax documents in order to provide a 3-year stretch of information about your financial circumstances. That makes sure that we're not just taking a snapshot of a particular moment for your family, but we're looking comprehensively about what is typically true for you to be sure that the rate of tailored tuition we're determining will work for you over time. Now remember, preparation is a huge part of this process. So you're already in the midst of it in watching these videos and preparing for your application process. But remember, this is kind of like painting. It's 90% prep and 10% painting. You want to do all of your taping, you want to drape, you want to scrape, you want to be sure that your palette is ready to go, because once you actually get into the application, you're almost at the home stretch. So the more work you do ahead of time to prepare your budget, to do your thinking and reflecting about this process, and to be ready for your thinking about tailored tuition, the better off you will be. Now, you want to start with a family budget. You may already have one if you have a super sophisticated app that your family plays into, if you have a box of receipts under your bed, whatever it may look like for your family, you have the tools and resources you need to get started with a family budget. You can always go to our website where we have a template that you can download and refer to if this is going to be your first time approaching this process. But really the goal is to get a sense of what your family's income is and what your expenditures look like. And with that tool at hand, you'll have a better sense of where tuition may fit and any adjustments that you may need to make in order to amp that up to a top priority. You want to be sure as you're moving through that budget that you have a clear sense of where your money goes. So in the budget that we offer, it shows an annual column as well as a monthly column. And that's an important point of comparison. Much of the application through School and Student Services will ask you to think annually. You'll be offering information primarily from your tax documents about your annual income, what your assets and liabilities look like, and what those big annual expenditures are. You're also going to be asked for a monthly snapshot of what your typical financial picture looks like. So, what is your monthly take-home income? How much are you spending on groceries? What are your other top priorities when you're making decisions about where your money goes each month? Having both those points of comparison is going to be a really important part of your preparation to complete the parent financial statement and will be a really helpful tool as you think about where tuition is going to fit into your family's budget. Once you've done a first draft, we ask that you take a second look. So in the end of the application, the goal is for you to have calculated your family's discretionary income and to have made a recommendation to the school about where tuition will fit within that pool of resources. So once you've done your first pass at your budget, take a second look. If there are any places where you might make different decisions about your current expenditures, go ahead and make those adjustments. Think now about any changes you might like to make and push that forward on your end. Then, when you get into the application, you'll know exactly what to say when the application asks you about your decision making and where tuition falls as a priority. Remember, the goal of tailored tuition is to make sure that tuition is sustainable for you over time. So none of the cuts that you're making should be so extreme that you can't imagine doing it year over year. You want to be sure that when you imagine your daughter at Ellis year over year, tuition is in a place in your budget that is sustainable. So once you've had a chance to look at your first pass and your second pass, you'll be well prepared to start the application. The additional piece of reflection that we ask you to do as you move into the application is to think about your daughter at the center of your process. So it's really, really easy to think, what can I personally do for her? But we want to ask you to put her at the center of her whole community and think broadly about all of the resources that are available to her. Many of them will come from your family. Some of them may come from the school. You may have additional partners in that process. That could look like grandparents or community organizations, which you've been a part for a long time. So think about your child at the center of this process. Notice all of the resources that are available to her and do some reflection on capturing those in your family budget as you think about what that rate of tuition will be for her over time. As you approach the application, we want to ask you to think about 3 key factors. The first is your willingness. Clearly you're willing. You've made the investment in researching the process. You're about to start preparing your materials and your budget to jump into the application. The next is to think about your ability, and that again comes back to sustainability. We want to be sure that the commitment that you're making to your daughter and to the school is sustainable over time, and we will be in partnership with you in sussing out what that looks like for you. We know that that may shift and change over time, so the application is an annual one. We will revisit this together each year to make sure that the rate of tuition that is your rate of tuition makes sense for you given the changes to your family over time. A lot of families wonder what the first year will look like versus the second or the third or the fifth. So it's important to know that once you qualify for a tailored tuition adjustment, the school aims to meet you at the same rate of tuition year after year. That means that if you receive a 50% adjustment, you might expect, if all things remain the same for your family, that in subsequent years you will receive a similar 50% adjustment. That may be a helpful tool for you as you think ahead about what that commitment will look like for you and your family over time. We also want you to know that we offer payment plans, which is another really helpful tool as you think about how that will fit not only into your family's annual budget, but into your monthly budget as well. So we offer a 10 payment plan, our most popular option. So when you're thinking about your annual tuition, you can divide that into 10 installments and imagine how that will fit into your monthly expenditures. Last but not least, we want you to know that you are absolutely not alone in this process. We think about this as an ongoing partnership. I meet annually with families, we have a catch up, we talk about what's new, we review the application together. It's an ongoing process that's really well supported by the school. So if you get to a roadblock, if you're thinking about what's really hard or challenging, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Again, there are tons of resources on the website if you prefer to research first, but if you want to reach out, we're always happy to hear from you. And you can reach me by email or by phone anytime to ask even the simplest questions or to go over more complex family scenarios. I'm happy to talk with you before you get started so that you feel comfortable in your approach. And then once you do log into School and Student Services, you launch that application, you check out the checklist, you're going to be really well prepared to get started. Again, we encourage families to complete the process between November 1st and January 1st. We want to emphasize that a complete application includes a parent financial statement, the submission, which will include the fee. If you qualify for a fee waiver, it will be applied automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the submission of your previous year tax documents. Once we've got all of that, we're ready to go for an initial review, and you can rest assured that if I have any questions at all, I'll reach out to you directly so that we can talk more to ensure that your application is complete and clear and gives us a full financial picture so that we're well positioned to partner together on tailored tuition. Next in the series, we have instructions about how to calculate your discretionary income. We're going to deep dive into the budgeting process to give you a sense of how those calculations work in the application, what to expect, and what to prepare. We hope you'll join us.